Feeling tired all the time is not normal. It may be common, but it is not normal. And yet, so many people are walking around every single day exhausted. Not just I didn't sleep well last night, but tired. That deep kind of fatigue. And a lot of times it persists. The kind where you wake up tired, push through toward the end of your day, go to bed hoping tomorrow you're going to feel better, but then better never comes. In fact, fatigue is one of the most common symptoms that are reported in primary care. And depending on the study, up to 1 in 3 adults report that they feel significantly fatigued, and for many, it's persistent. And here's the sad thing, we've normalized it. We joke about it, we push through, we tell ourselves that this is just part of life, but here's the truth. Your body being consistently tired is a signal. And if we ignore that signal, or we try to push past it, we miss an opportunity to understand what is actually going on. Because here's the thing, not all fatigue is created the same. And more importantly, not all fatigue should be handled the same way. Some fatigue is medical, some of it is physical, and some may be a reflection of the way that you're living. So today I want to walk you through some of the very practical things that you can do to target chronic fatigue. And if you're someone who's consistently tired, I'm going to give you 3 specific things that you need to consider. Not guesses or trends, but the same category that I think about as a physician whenever someone comes to me and says, "Doc, I am tired all the time." Before you push through your fatigue, before you normalize it, you need to understand that your body is trying to tell you something. Welcome to Fuller Living, your space for empowerment, inspiration, and practical health nuggets. Here you'll find relatable guidance that fits your everyday life as we journey to a fuller and healthier you. I'm your host, Dr. Ashitey. Let's dig in. Welcome back to Fuller Living. As always, I am so glad that you're here. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whether you're taking it slow, going fast-paced for whatever reason, I am glad that you have stopped and taken a moment to invest in your health. All right, guys, let's settle in because this is one of those conversations that I think a lot of people really need to hear. As a family doc, I am just tired all the time is something that I hear all day long. In fact, I think there's rarely a patient that when I ask, "Are you fatigued?" would say, "No, I feel great." And recently I had a patient who told me, "I think it's just work. Things have been really busy lately." She looked tired. But what stood out to me was this. It didn't feel urgent or even important to her. It felt like she expected it. Like this is what the cost of living just is. She was still going to work, still taking care of everything she needed to do, just doing it more tired than she should have been. So, as a normal primary care doctor should do, we started talking about it. And I started to ask her some questions, trying to understand why she was tired and what she really meant. And as we talked, she mentioned something else. She said she's been getting a little short of breath. In fact, it's been so gradual that she didn't notice it. She'd even in some ways normalized it. So I asked her how long that'd been going on. She paused and said, "I'm not really sure, maybe a couple of months." A couple of months? Friends, I'd like to pause here and say, shortness of breath is always to be taken seriously. But she hadn't gotten that advice from me yet, so she had normalized it. She told herself it was just stress, it was just work, it was just life being busy. But in her case, there was something medical going on, something that needed to be addressed. What struck me wasn't just the diagnosis. What struck me is how easy it would have been for her to keep going and ignoring the signs because she was still functioning, she was still showing up, things in her life were still going fine. Well, that's what she thought. just more tired than she should have been. And this is something I see all the time, and that's why I'm talking about it. Fatigue doesn't often feel dramatic. It isn't something that people think about, they just push through. But it doesn't mean that you need to normalize it because over time, we can stop questioning it and then we adapt. And that's where we can miss something that is so important. So, today we're going to talk about all of that in detail. You're going to understand why fatigue should not be pushed under a rug. And so, let's get into it. When someone tells me they're constantly tired, here are a few things that I'm always thinking about. I'm going to walk you through this one by one so you can start thinking about it differently. Number one, is there a medical condition or is there a medical cause that we're missing? Is there something going on that hasn't been identified? Because fatigue is one of those symptoms that can be very general, but sometimes it may also be the only clue that we have. Things like iron deficiency anemia, thyroid disorders, sleep apnea, blood sugar issues, vitamin deficiencies like B12 or vitamin D, autoimmune conditions, and here's the taboo word, sometimes, could it even be cancer? Here's the challenge. These don't always show up in dramatic ways. They can be subtle, they can be gradual, and just like the patient that I mentioned earlier, it can be something that you just normalized. So, if you've been feeling persistently tired, this is not something that you ignore at all. This is where a proper evaluation really matters because not everything is stress, not everything is your hormones. And not everything needs to be pushed through. Number two, the second thing I think about is this. Are you asking more from your body? Maybe more than you're giving back. This is where we talk about physiology. You could be doing a lot of healthy things, but still be exhausted. I see this all the time. People who are working full days, exercising regularly, trying to eat well, staying mentally on all the time. But when you look closely, when you slow down and look at their lives, there's still very little recovery. There may be sleep there, but it's not restorative. There's movement there, but there's no balance between how hard you go and how much movement you do that actually helps you recover. And the nervous system never really gets to settle in. And we've talked about how a nervous system that's on all the time increases your cortisol and all the downward things that can come with that. This kind of fatigue is less about what is being wrong or something being wrong and more about something being out of balance. You're doing too much. You're doing the most. You're not restoring yourself enough. We have to fill our cups up. Number three, the third thing I consider is this. Is your life asking more from you than you can actually sustain? Is your life out of alignment with the capacity that you have? This is different. Previously I just talked about recovery, but this is more about alignment. I'm talking about constantly being overcommitted, saying yes when really you should be saying no, carrying responsibilities that don't match your current capacity, feeling mentally and emotionally drained, even when you've been resting. Because here's the reality. You can rest, you can take all the time that you need, but if you're not getting back to a life that is balanced, you're going to consistently drain yourself. Fatigue is going to come right back based on how you have designed your life. So, bringing it all together, there's a difference between being tired because you need rest from a day of working really hard versus being tired because your life is consistently unsustainable. If we don't separate these two things, we end up trying to rest our way out of something that really requires a deeper shift. Now to my favorite part of the episode. This is the part where things start to shift. This is where we move from understanding what's going on to actually doing something about it. But before I give you my three things, before I give you anything to change, I want you to start to take it seriously. I want you to notice fatigue. Don't just brush it off. Don't try to explain it away or push it under a rug. I want you to pause and ask yourself these three questions. Number one, when did it start? Number two, what does it actually feel like? And number three, has it been getting better or has it been getting worse? See, one of the biggest mistakes that I see is how quickly we normalize things. We say, I'm just tired. And then we adjust and then we compensate. And over time, we even stop questioning it. But your body doesn't speak loudly at first. At first, it whispers. And if you ignore that whisper, it's going to get louder and you're going to pay for it. Okay? All right. Now, once you start paying attention, here are three things that you can start doing right now about your chronic fatigue. First, get evaluated. If this has been persistent, go see your doctor. If your fatigue has been going on for weeks or months, don't assume that it's just stress. This is where you need to make that appointment, go see your doctor, get evaluated. Because fatigue is one of the most common symptoms that we see in medicine, but it can also be one of the most overlooked because it's very easy to explain, or so we think. But remember, like I said, even cancer can come with fatigue. So don't forget anemia, thyroid, blood sugar issues. All of these can cause fatigue. And so don't just put it under stress. Let's do something about it now. If something feels off, notice it, say it, advocate for yourself, not just to your physicians, but to your own self. Don't allow yourself to push it under the rug and say, it's just being tired because everything else going on. You need to get evaluated. Your symptoms matter, even if everything else looks normal at first glance. Second, take an honest look at your recovery. Take a step back, look at your life from a different angle, not just what you're doing, but how you're recovering from it. I see this all the time. People are doing all the right things, working, exercising, trying to eat well, but you really look at their day and there's really no true recovery. The sleep is there, but it's not consistent. It's not deep. The movement is there, but it's always go, 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 high intensity, and there's no type of recovery type of movement. And mentally, they're always on, always thinking, always planning, always moving on to the next thing. And over time, like we've said before, the body doesn't even get a chance to reset. So ask yourself, where in my day do I actually allow myself to recover? Not just go to bed at the end of the day. Where in my day, where in my week am I allowing myself to recover? Take a deep look because you might learn something about yourself that you've been brushing aside for a long time. Number three, look at whether your life is sustainable. Ask yourself, is the way I'm living actually sustainable for where I want to get to? Not just for my financial goals and everything else, but for my health. Because sometimes fatigue is not just about the recovery, but the whole load that you have put on yourself. That constant pressure, the long list of commitments, the expectations, both external and internal. See, a few months ago, I found myself complaining to my sister. She was patient. She listened to my complaints, my long list of all the reasons why I was stressed. And when I was done, she softly asked me, are these stressors external or self-imposed? Ouch. When I looked at my life, I realized everything that I was complaining to her about was self-imposed. So of course, I course corrected. So today, I reflect that question back to you. Are your overcommitments, the long list, the expectations, the constant pressure, all the things, are they external or are they self-imposed? Saying yes when you don't have the capacity, pushing through when your body is asking you to slow down, adding more to your plate when you should be offloading that plate, pay attention. Something about the way that you're living right now may need to be evaluated. So, summarized, putting all three things together, this is what you should do now. Number one, notice the fatigue. Don't just brush it under the table. Get evaluated, reassess your recovery, and also reassess whether the things that you're carrying are actually sustainable. Do they meet the capacity that you actually have? Now, let's make it practical. Your goal this week: find one moment, just one, where you sit down and reflect on your fatigue. That's it. Wait, let's take that back. Let's make it a SMART goal. Let's make it clear so that we're more likely to do it. Specific. Set aside one intentional moment to think about everything that we talked about today. Measurable. It's just one time this week, not every single day. One time, there you go, check. Achievable. This can be 5 minutes, maybe 10, no more than that, but all of us surely can find 5 or 10 minutes to reflect. Relevant, because if you don't stop to understand your fatigue, you're going to keep responding the very same way, and you're going to brush it under the table. Time bound. Choose when this is going to happen. Don't leave it up to chance. Don't leave it up to when you have time. When you finally sit down to have this assessment, I want you to ask yourself 3 simple questions. Number 1, what exactly have I been feeling? Am I tired or am I sleepy? Number 2, am I recovering from my days or just getting through them? And number 3, is the way that I'm living right now sustainable over the long term? Give yourself the space to ask these questions. Today, we talked about something that so many people experience, but don't always take the time to understand. Fatigue. Not just being tired after a long day, but the kind of fatigue that lingers, the kind that becomes part of your everyday routine, but even part of your identity, maybe. But here's the thing. We are not going to brush it under the table anymore because we addressed the fact that it's not normal. If you're chronically tired, there's always a reason. And the question is, are you listening? We walk through 3 things to consider. First, making sure there isn't something medical that you're missing. Number 2, taking an honest look at your life. Are you giving yourself enough room to recover? And third, we asked an even harder question of whether or not everything that you're taking on is sustainable. And after that, we set a SMART goal. We said we're going to sit down and evaluate these 3 questions. How are we feeling? Is it something that we need to get seen for? And we agree that if it's been going on for weeks, months, or even years, yes, you are going to get evaluated. And I can't wait to hear the steps that you have taken after this episode. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you. What stood out to you? What did you realize? What are you going to start doing? Please share it with me on Instagram at sarah.ashitey_MD or at Fuller Living Coaching on Instagram. Or leave me a message here in the comments to let me know how you're doing. And if you know someone who's always tired, always pushing through, send this episode to them. Because all it takes is one conversation to help someone start asking better questions of themselves. I can't wait to see you for next week's episode, but until then, let's get to fuller living. Well, fam, that wraps up another episode of Fuller Living, where we talk about health in a bite-sized, relatable, practical, and fun way. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about making progress one small step at a time while remaining consistent. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe, share it with a friend who might need a little bit of inspiration, and leave me your 5-star review. And if you're in Dallas and looking for a new PCP, look me up at southwestfamilymed.com. I can't wait to meet you. Until next time, let's get to fuller living.